So we're still in Chaf Dalet. Hopefully, by the time we're finished Chaf Dalet, we'll have the tools to be B'Simcha Tamid, and that doesn't mean we won't ever not be B'Simcha, but it does mean that we know how to get out of zone 2, where we get stuck in anger or resentment or bitterness or regret, and then Has V'Shalom, that can lead to Mara Shchara, bitter black Atzvus, which makes me actually come to a conclusion I'll never change. And that's the worst part of all. And we looked last week a little bit at Likutei Tfilas to understand that Rav Nassan wants us to take the tachbulos, the strategies, and eitzes amitiyos, the real strategies that really work to turn when we're down into simcha. So that's what we actually touched on very briefly. We said, "Ve'etchazek b'simcha gedola b'chol eis b'chol minei drachim." I should be zoicha. This is page 35. We quoted it last week. I'm going to touch on it briefly because this is what our platform for this week and possibly next week as well. Because this is the ikka really is take the maisius out of the lessons. What are the practical implementations that I can literally enforce in my life? Page 35. In the beautiful edition, I'll be strong in being b'simcha gedola. B'chol eis u'b'chol minei drachim, all the time, all types of times. B'chol eis, I'm guessing, I don't know, but this might be a play on the fact that it doesn't say tamid. B'chol eis is a reference, I think, to Perek Gimel in Koheles, where he talks about yesh eis l'chol davar, and then he gives you 28 type of times. And the main point there is to understand B'chol derachecha da'ehu, which is also from Shlomo Melech in Mishlei Perek Gimel, Mishnah Vav, where he says B'chol derachecha da'ehu, recognize Hashem in all your ways. So that's that. If you want to marry that with Perek Gimel in Koheles, in every single situation there's a way to find Hashem. So by saying this, B'simcha G'dol B'chol Eis, I'm just throwing in the
sin.
I'm sorry.
Does that include sin?
Does that include sin? So it's a Gemara in Bracha Samach Gimel, where it actually says Eza Pasha Katana Shekol Gufei Torah Tluyin Ba. I think we touched on this briefly, so I'll just mention it in answering the question. Yes, it does. And how do we know? Because the Torah tells us itself. Where do you find that? First of all, there's lots of parashas in the Torah. Rav Nachman brings this in Sichas Saran. I do not remember now where there are many parashas in the Torah that's only because of Averas. If you think about it, Parshas Noach came out of the fact that there was this terrible mabul because of the extreme decadence and promiscuity of mankind. We just finished Balak and Pinchas. Oh my gosh, Pinchas came from a huge, terrible Avera, which was Begalui, and Pinchas saved Klal Yisrael. And all that came because Cheta Egel. When you start looking at Shalach with the Meraglim, there's a lot of the Torah that only exists because of the faults we made, and now it became Torah. So, in answer to your question, the specific, how do we know that actually even B'chol Eis means even if a person falls into Avera, that includes now be B'simcha again. So the Gemara there in Brachas asks, Eza Pasha Katana Shekol Gufei HaTorah Tuluyim Ba. If you selected one pasuk from the entire Torah, all Tanakh, which one pasuk would you select? Shekol Gufei HaTorah Tuluyim Ba. It's an amazing question. The whole essence of Yiddishkeit, of Torah, is hanging on this one verse. So it famously answers from the pasuk we just quoted, Perek Gimel pasuk Vav in Mishlei, Bechol derachecha da'ehu. In all your ways know Hashem, acknowledge Him. V'hu yasha archasecha. If I can do that, Bechol derachecha, then I will be able that Hashem, V'hu, He, Hashem, or you can say the fact that we are acknowledging Hashem, that is what will now, V'hu yasha, will straighten. You can only straighten out something that was crooked before. So this will straighten out all your paths. So I quoted, I think, the Chidazal in Avodas HaKodesh. She quotes the Arizal, and it's brought in Ben Yehoyada also on Brachas and Chav Ches, where Rabbi Yochanan says, "Ulvai sheyispal adam kol hayam kulay." So comes along the Chidazal and says, look at the Rashi Tevis of B'chol Derachecha Da'ehu. It spells out Badad, Avispoidus. The Sofi Tevis is Lamed, which means 2 or 4. Chavav is the Gematria Yud Kei Vav Kei. So have Hespoidus to Hashem. That is how you can know Hashem in all your ways. Comes along Amarava Afilu L'Dav Aveira. What does B'chol Derachecha add? Even for an Aveira, Da'ehu, you can still acknowledge Hashem. And Rav Nachman himself said, if I did the worst Aveira imaginable, 1 second later I'll be back to the Tzaddik Kamel that I was a second before. It's a ridiculously simple concept that we live inside thought, and we're always one thought away from a new thought. And the one thought of teshuvah actually matters, actually counts. And it's in that we understand that even afilu dava avera. Now, if you look at the Hebrew art scroll, I'm not sure if it's an English one. In the Hebrew art scroll, in the footnotes on that Gemara, Samach Gimel, B'chol Derachecha Da'ehu, actually brings a Rashi that is not quoted in this Rashi. It was not printed in this Rashi, where it says afilu dava avera. Rashi in our Gemaras brings a very unique type of avera, where Eliyahu Navi built a bama outside the Beis Hamikdash, which is an Issa D'Oraisa, and there's a whole explanation. Well, a Navi is allowed to get away with something like that if it's Hoirasha, it's Eis Lasos. But the other Rashi, which is not quoted in our Talmud, which is in old manuscripts, which the Christians messed up with in the 13th century with their constant censorship of the Talmud, there it says Aveira Mamash. So it's not referring to just an exceptional case, but the Gemara is Pashup Pshat, Afilu Aveira Mamash, a real Aveira, no matter what it is, Da'ehu, you can still remember Hashem. So it really does go on everything. B'chol minei terachim, I should be b'chazek myself to be b'simcha at all times, in all types of ways, unativos and paths. We talked about this a little bit last week, the eitzes and strategies, the tachpulos, and it's another word for strategies. Eitzes really means more than that. We talked about that last week. The word eitz is a tree, and tree branches out. So a real good eitzah is when you have a multiple effect of good things that come because of the right eitzah. And that's why it's so important. Don't get eitzahs from bochrim. Don't get eitzahs from people who are enraged by what you're going through, because then their emotions are getting biased in their narrative of your narrative. Go to Talmidei Chachamim, Anshe Mada, that's Lashon of Peleyoitz, in Ois Daiga. Go to people who are listening in Zone 3. Zone 3 is in recovery. If I'm talking about my problems in Zone 2, it's too early. According to Rav Nachman, we looked at it in Kufiyat Base in Sichas Aran. The place to go into charata, the place to go into regret and resentment and anger, is when you're gadlus amoichin. Your mind is independent. That's what gadol really means. Independent of the stuff I'm talking about. So I'm visiting this discussion about how badly I was raised, or what mistakes my parents made, or how I messed up on the first marriage and I didn't take the right lessons into the second marriage, and now I'm suffering the second time round, third time round. And then before you know it, I'm so stuck there that I'm stuck in Zone 2. And what Rav Nachman is basically telling me, Gadlus HaMoichin and Basimcha, he adds that there as well, in Zone 3, which is Simcha, in Zone 3, which is Gadlus HaMoichin, you can visit Zone 2, because you're a tourist, not attached to it. And if I notice I get sucked into Zone 2, get out. I'm still not ready. Wait till you're
What's Zone 1 again?
Zone 1 is Olam Hazeh. Whatever's happening to us in the moment is Zone 1. As long as you're alive, you're in Zone 1. You can't get out of it. Mitzuta Frusa Al Kol HaChaim. There's a trap that's spread over every human being. Parak Gimel and Pirkei Avos, Mishnah Tes Zayin. There's no way out of this. Mitzuta Frusa Al Kol HaChaim. If you're alive, then you're inside a trap. What's that trap? Says the Rav Bartanot, quoting Hazal, Yisurin and Misa. There's no escape from those two. The only thing I live in is, how do I get to Zone 3 and recover from the stuff I'm going through in my mind that's responding to Zone 1. Zone 2 is how I respond to Zone 1. When I respond with Gadlus HaMoichin and Simcha, being done Chavschus, Emunah, Hashem, you're running the show, B'tochen, all the good thoughts, which we went through over 100 thoughts that in Tarek mitzvahs, all the good thoughts, that's zone 3. All the non-reality thinking, I don't call them negative and positive as much as non-reality. Jealousy is non-reality, simply not real. Gaiva is totally non-reality. Only Hashem, Chesed Kel Alav. Everything a person is masig, it's lashon of the Mesilas Yesharim, Kol Ma'ad Adam masig. Everything that we up here reach in insights, Eino Ela Chesed Kel Alav. It's only because of Hashem's kindness upon us. So even our intelligence is purely a gift. So there's no room or reason for gaiva. So you start going through taiva, gaiva, kina, motzi shemra, lashon hara, rechilus, oinas tvarim. Anything that's on the the don't do's is essentially zone 2. Don't go into natira, which is remembering other people's mistakes. Don't go into nakama. I can't wait. I would be so happy when this person they get a good club. They so deserve it. Only Hashem is the only judge. So I got to get out of that. When I'm in judgment, I'm in zone 2. So zone 3 is recovery.
So basically, zone 2, your emotions are equal to your logic, and zone 3, your logic is bigger than your emotions.
Well, you could argue that zone 3 is actually letting go of logic, because Emunah is really above logic. It really means I can. Sorry.
Bittul.
Right. I surrender, because Hashem, you're running the show, and since you're running the show, Hakol B'dei Shemaim Chutz Miyirat Shemaim. What's my Yirat Shemaim for? To talk, Tefillah, Hisbeidos, Mevakesh. I beg you that since you're the one who is moving all these puppets, why am I getting angry at the mailman? Why am I getting angry with all these puppets? Someone's pulling the strings. Go straight to the source. Now I can go to therapy and answers from other people, but watch out, because the easiest way, the litmus test for me to know, is this person helping me? Are they helping me get out of zone 2 into zone 3? We'll look at it, Be'iyun Be'ezvan Hashem. It won't be this week. Hopefully I will get to it next week. It's a very, very important passage. We have quoted it before. Daiga Belevish. Daiga, it means worry, anxiety, fear. Radak, Sefer HaShrashim tells us the word Daiga includes pachad, yira, all types of worry that a person can have. That's all zone 2. Daiga Belevish, Yashchena. Deflate it. Don't make it bigger than it is. V'davatov yisamchena. Go to something good, and it says davatov. You don't need more than one good word or one good concept, one good hasaga to yisamchena, to turn the daiga into happiness. So that's very much fits into Torah number 23, which we learned a little bit. So we'll be looking at that be'iyun. So that's the litmus test. If you know anyone is going to a therapist or someone who's helping them, ask, is what they're telling me helping me pay attention to davatov yisamchena. You look at Rashi on that pasuk, Perek Yud Beis pasuk Chav Hey, in Mishlei, Rashi says, "V'davatov shenachamenu chavera yismach et ha'adaiga." Rashi Hakadosh is telling you that the davatov means shenachamenu chavera. Whoever you're going to, whether it's a therapist, a best friend, whoever it is, he should be able to give you comfort, yismach et hadaiga, by making the daiga into a reason for simcha. This one line here is the best thing that every mental health practitioner should surely know and celebrate, because this is the only compass of true north that will help them know how to help other people. Am I bringing them to recognize that what they're suffering is actually a reason for simcha? And that's what we've been doing last week, and we're doing it in more detail this week.
I believe that answers my question that I asked you before.
Okay, good. Yeah. Good.
So it is okay to go to therapy. In reality, it's just like, where's the therapist going? Are they getting you stuck for 17 years? Or they're taking you out of zone 2 to zone 3, yeah? Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, why stop at 17? Go to 27, 37.
we have a long life.
So, the look for the eitzes that through them they will be able to make my mind happy. Leiv really means mind. Whether it's finding the good that's already there. Get a therapist or a friend who's going to help you see the good in you. Or whether you have to just stay afloat by cracking a joke. The Shana said, even if it means that you're going to act weird and be called a weirdo, go for it. Dance, clap, be b'simcha, because in Shemayim, that's what's Momtik Dinim. Okay, so we started looking last week at a very extreme case of Sa'ar. For example, a child going against a parent. We quoted the very last Mishnah in Sota that this is what's going to happen right before Mashiach. The biggest enemies that we have will be the members of our own family. So if a person has is suffering that way, we started looking at different ways to look at the Nekudas Tovos, or what's the bright side, or what might be a reason that what we're going through is actually going to be a reason to be b'simcha. We covered a number of those reasons. We're still in that, and it doesn't have to be a difficult kid. It can be a spouse, it could be a mother-in-law, brother-in-law. I could be my own enemy too. I'm most likely my own enemy more than anyone else, because if I don't deal with it up here, and I put myself down, and I let myself get down, then I am my own enemy, and this is what this Torah is really all about. Because if I don't let go of the Mara Shchera and the Atvas, the Nekudas rise, then what's going to happen is Has v'Shalom, I fall into Yush. Yush is the worst of all, and it's the biggest illusion in world history. The biggest illusion in world history, because everything can be turned around. Even Averas can be turned around. They can be turned into Zchuyas. That's amazing. Teshuvah Me'ava is a game changer. That means, Rebbeinu Shalom, help me to do Teshuvah Me'ava. Help me to Simcha. Help me Zeicha to be Moichel. Help me Zeicha to let go of my anger, my resentment, and my bitterness. And help me to let go of my interpretation of all those events that are pulling me down about who this person was in my life, so that I can actually live in zone 3 and not get stuck in zone 2. Or when I get into zone 3 and I start remembering that person, I get schlepped back into... No, don't go into zone 2. It's the most dangerous place to be, because it's an illusion. It's Olam HaSheker. So Hashem wants me to get out of there. So we looked at a few of the reasons. I and Sham looked at last week's lecture. We're moving forward. Every humiliation we go through, and we're going to look at in a few moments at Likutei Moran. I'm sure if we have any, if we could have a few. I'm going to say this out loud though. We'll look at Likutei Moran, Torah Kuf Samach Hey 165. It's not in this special edition we have in front of you. We're going to get the real one, where Rav Nachman basically is telling us that whatever we go through, that's a tsara, Yisurin, is actually a discount. It's such a huge discount. Imagine you had $100 million of debt, right? $100 million debt. I know someone right now who's in that position. You know, when businessmen get into really big deals and something looks extremely tempting, they can leverage a lot of money from different places, banks and private loans. And if Has v'Shalom, the deal goes sour at the wrong time, then the banks are chasing him and all the private creditors. It's a horrible place to be. I'll never forget Donald Trump on one occasion. He was with his daughter when she was very, very young, walking on the streets of Manhattan, and there's a blind gentleman there. I actually remember him on the same street on Fifth Avenue, Midtown, and he had a tin of pencils, nicely sharpened, and people would put whatever, a prut or whatever it is inside, and take a pencil, and many people just put the money and didn't take a pencil, and he would give them a blessing. And so Trump put money in there, and he said, turned to his daughter, he said, do you know that right now, where I'm holding in my finances, this gentleman here is $800 million richer than me. Thank God he got out of that, and his Baruch Hashem in the plus, and God should continue to bless him in every way. But the point is that a person could be $100 million in debt, and that could really weigh down on a person. Do you agree that might weigh down a little bit on some people? Okay. So now imagine that the creditors decided to ask him to pay 1 cent on every $1 million. Did I share this last week? What would that equal? That means he can get out of a debt of 100 million by paying $100. Is that a good deal? It's a dream. So, yeah, well, it's a no-brainer. So comes along Rav Nachman. We're going to see right now in Torah, Kuf Samach Hey, that whatever person goes through is actually a discount. How should I respond to the Yisurin? So in Kuf Samach Hey, we'll learn it together in the first Chelek. Sorry. V'ahavta l'reacha kamoecha ani Hashem. You got the place?
Yeah, yes.
Love your friend like you love yourself. Ani Hashem. That's actually very important. The last part's actually very important. Hainu. What does it mean? Shetikabel be'ava. You should accept with love kol hara'os, all the terrible things, v'ayisurin, and suffering, habayim alecha, that come upon a person. Kiroi sheteda, because a person, it really is fitting to know. Shelefi ma'asecha, according to my actual deeds, my actual actions, what I did wrong, achal kol ha'yisurim v'hara'os sheyesh lecha, and all the suffering I'm going through, and all the bad that's ever happened to me, that's happening to me, adayin hu mitnahik imcha barachamim. Hashem is still actually responding to me with rachamim. What I'm going through is actually rachamim. Ki haya magia lecha yosem yoser. Has v'shalom, I should be deserving of much, much worse. Has v'shalom. Lefi ma'asecha, according to what I actually did. V'zehu ve'ahavta l're'acha. You should love your bad. Ra means bad. L're'acha. Love the bad that happens to you. Shetehav hara sheba lecha. Love the bad that happens to you. You can read the word lecha, to you or for you. And if you read it for you, which is what Rav Nachman does say in Sichas One, again, I apologize, I didn't look it up before, but I forgot, but it does say there that if you read Toiv Hashem lakol, you can read it, Hashem is good to all, and that's the classic translation. But lamed as a prefix has a second meaning, which is for. That means betachlis is for everyone, for everything. So Hashem is good for everything. You can ask him anything about everything. There's nothing you can't ask him for. So if you read it that way here, Hashem is love the good that's done for you. It's for you. It's for a person's actual benefit. Hainu harais v'hayisurim habayim alecha, the bad and the suffering that comes upon a person, has v'shalom tikablem be'ava. Accept them with love. Why? Ki kamocha kamosh atahu, as I really am. Hainu lefi ma'asecha, according to what I really did wrong. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei. Baal harachamim, the name of Hashem, which is rachamim. Adain ani mitnahik imcha berachamim. I'm actually giving you this as a discount. This is discounted Yisurin. And therefore, this is what Rav Nachman is telling us, live in zone 3. Don't get stuck in zone 2. Get to zone 3. What's zone 3? Even if Has v'shalom, a person goes through Yisurin, here's a way out. We quoted previously, last week I think we did Kuf Tzadik Hey, Ba'at Tsar Hirchavtali. In the Tsar, while I'm in it, in the Tsar itself, Hirchavtali, we actually gave room of many escape routes. There's more than one escape route for me to get out of this Tsar. But the most important escape route is not necessarily the tachbula, it's the exact physical things, people I've got to call, influences I've got to get in hold of to influence this person. The real place is over here, because that's where I'm actually experiencing the Yisurin to start with. That's where, once I'm in zone 3, over here, now you can visit all the strategies you want. Because you're not coming from tsar. You're not coming from this narrow place where I'm desperate. And I've got my narrative, which I need to explain to you and convince you. And if you don't understand, then you're obviously not the right person for me to talk to. And before you know it, I'm just searching for the right people to listen to. That's just a ridiculous form of control, manipulation. Surrender, bittul, is what we're really looking for. Eventually, you're running the show, it's not them. Help me be a better me. That's how I can get out of this. So that's a Kuf Samach Hey. Everything is basically a huge discount. Number 8 of this Nisoyan is actually an invitation for me to find the strength inside me to forgive this child or forgive that person. And even if I'm not ready there, I can say to him, please, Rebbe Shalom, help leverage me to get there. What's one of the ways to leverage yourself to get there? When a person lets go of anger towards another person, which is lo titar, don't hold a grudge. Says Rashi, lo titar is a lashon shmira. Natira is always a lashon of shmira. I'm guarding the negative memories of what people said and did to me. So when I let go, I actually get the mitzvah of kol ha-merachim ala brias, merachim alav min hashmayim. So it's a huge thing to actually ask Hashem, please help me. The Gemara tells us, it's Gemara in Shabbos, I think it was Kuf Yotes, I don't remember now. I think I have somewhere in my notes. Kol ha-merachim ala brias, anyone who has rachmim, but they don't deserve it. But I'm going beyond the Ikar Adin, and I'm going to be merachim on them. Rechem is the 3-letter shoresh. It's the womb. The womb is a place of pure rachamim. The child has nothing in the womb to deserve insulation and protection and nutrition and warmth. Everything. It's got everything it needs. And it doesn't deserve it. It has done nothing except a few kicks and punches. It has done nothing to deserve all the benefits it's getting in this protected womb. And so rachamim, when I'm merachim on someone who doesn't actually deserve it, lifi on paper, then Hashem, I'm forcing you to be merachim on myself. Kol merachim ala brias merachimim alav min hashmayim. So Hashem is forced to be merachim on me. So if I can find it in the right place in my heart and my mind to let go of my anger or resentment or has v'shalom, desire for vengeance against a certain person or my own child or my own spouse or whoever it is or ex or whoever, it makes no difference who it is, I'm actually benefiting who the most? Myself. So why wouldn't I go there? So there are ways to leverage upon oneself. Rebbe Shalom, this is not about vengeance. I'm the one who benefits the most. Help me have that rachamim. It might be a real struggle, but it's worth the struggle. And if I still haven't found it in me, keep begging. Rebbe Shalom, help me. I can't do this alone. Number 9 of this is that your neshama shines when a person goes through Yisurim. It's actually a kuf ayin in Likutim Ran, so it's only a few Torahs off the previous one. Kuf ayin. Sorry. So in kuf ayin we'll look at it quickly. It's not a very long Torah.
Using like the womb as an example, so it sounds like zone 3 is to get to a point where we realize we never left the womb.
We never left the womb. Excellent. Yeah, I'm completely, totally in Hashem's hands. Excellent. Brilliant insight. Yeah. This world is kulei rachamim. It's all Ava. Ava and Rachamim are synonymous because every single time throughout Tanakh, whenever the Targum, which is part of the Masorah from Sinai, Gemara Megillah Daf Gimel tells us that the Targum came from Har Sinai. So this is a Mipia Gvura. The Targum on the word Ava is Rachamim. Every time. So that means they really are synonymous. It's actually the dictionary touch of Ava. So we live in a world that's Kulei Rachmim. So look at Kuf Ayin. Hashem, this is a pasuk he's going to unpack from Tehillim Perek Gimel, pasuk base. It's a famous pasuk. Hashem, Ma Rabu Sarai. How many are my sufferings? Rabim kamim alai. Many people have stood up against me. Many people stand up against me. So Rav Nachman now points out, Ki kol echad lefi nishmasai. Every person according to his particular neshama. Ulefi avoidasai. And according to where he's holding in the service of Hashem. Kach yesh lo yisurim. That's how he's going to get yisurim. I guess in quantity and quality. Yesh lo yisurim min banav. Some people have yisurim from their children. Now I'm just quoting now from the original text, which I had to put in because the text we have in front of us, I assume you also have the same text, does not include the original text. So for whatever reason, Rav Nosson took out the next word umi ishtai, umi aviv, and from his father. That you have, and the next one he also took out, and I'm putting it back in umi imoy and his mother. I'm guessing that the Nashim might, if they read this, they might take slight offense, but only slightly. Umishachin, and from any neighbor. He's going through everybody, just anybody in the immediate family and beyond, including my boss and my clients and my co-workers and whoever it is. It makes no difference. V'yeshum b'madrega gedola. There's people on a higher madrega mimenu than one we just described. V'yesh le'yisurim mishchenim rechoikim. Not only do they have from the immediate family and the shchuna they live in, but even neighborhoods beyond, all over Monsey. V'yesh gadol mimenu. Some people have a bigger neshama. V'yesh le'yisurim kol ha'ir. The whole town, the whole city. V'yesh gadol ma'oid. There's some neshamas which are so big. V'yesh le'yisurim kol ha'olam. The whole world is against them. Some of us are young enough to remember when Breslev was a rude word in the Torah world. It was you get labeled and you might get some slight hisnagdus, very 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 slight, and only now that it's become so popular, I'm extremely grateful for this hisnagdus I ever had. It's v'yesh le'yisurim kol ha'olam. Rav Nachman was a huge neshama, and he's talking about it's possible that the bigger you are, the more Yisurin you're going to be getting in your life. Now that's not very.
Why is it? Because you're more sensitive. You feel more. Isn't it better?
So I'll give you an example from Mike Tyson, world undefeated champion in boxing. So he actually broke when he was I think it was in Second World War in Vietnam. I don't remember when now. He broke all the knuckles, the bones in his fist, and he did so much physical therapy on it, and he worked on himself so much that his punch got stronger because of the physical exercise that he did, and he became the undefeated world champion in boxing. And when he was asked, how did you do that? How did you do that? He said, I forced my body to take on more than it could handle, so that I became stronger and stronger. So you do push-ups to a point where your muscles don't stay the same, don't get weaker, they get stronger. How do you do that? By putting the force of your body weight against the ground and only picking yourself up from your fingers or your full hand. So the point is that the physically more strong a person is, obviously the more he can carry the weight. But we're talking that applies in spirituality also. The bigger the neshama, the more they can be makabel in terms of Yisurin. So you have people like Nachum Mishgamzu, phenomenal Yisurin, and yet it didn't affect his mindset. He was stuck in zone 3. He couldn't even get out of it. He was so obsessed. I'm going to use a very strong language. He was like, I'm not leaving zone 3 for nothing. Well, what happens if Caesar tells you, off with your head for bringing this chest of dirt? That's how you treat me? And his gut reaction was Gamzul Teva, right? He couldn't get out of zone 3, and that's why he was sent on this mission. So he's going to get killed now. He and all his attendants, and Klal Yisrael, for whom he's representing to sweeten the dinim against Klal Yisrael, he's saying Gamzul Teva. So if you and I were there, as much as we were Mashamashim for many years and appreciate his tzidkus and everything else, you and I would have to say, you just got killed us all. What's the matter with you? How do you say Gamzul Teva? Because he knew that it's impossible, Your Majesty, the Creator, King of all kings, you can do no wrong. Immediately Hashem sends Eliyahu Navi in the guise of one of the ministers and says, your dear Caesar, with all due respect, the Jews are not known for being so stupid. You know, they got 22% of all Nobel Prize winners. I have a hunch that this might be the dirt that their forefather Abraham used against his enemies. So maybe we should check that out first. So he says, you know, you got a good point. Let's check it out first. And they tried it on the worst enemy that they didn't succeed in conquering for many, many years, and it worked straight away. Every piece of dirt turned into a dagger, a spear, and got rid of all the enemies. So they filled his chest with treasures, and he went back. So Nachum Gamzu lived in that zone. So this is what we're reading now, is that when a person is spiritually higher than he was before, so now his muscles can carry more weight or take on more Yisurin. Now, that's not...
It sounds like an encouragement, meaning if someone feels like they can't catch a break, right? So really what that means is, based off of this, It means like, no, actually, you're a greater person than you thought you were.
Excellent. I think what you're saying is, that in a certain sense, really, Hashem is giving you a huge compliment
Right.
by saying you can handle this.
Instead of like trying to punish you.
Right. We're gonna see that maybe even today in Torah Memvav in Tinyana, where it talks about that Hashem would never give us a sign that we can't be Omed, and Omed didn't carry. It's a lotion of nicer carrying. So it fits very nicely over here. I think you're right on the money there. So the kol echad al yedei yisurim noise alav ha'anashim sheyesh lo yisurim mehem. When a person's suffering a lot, he actually carries, so to speak, on his shoulders. That's my addition, but he's carrying every single person who he has had yisurim from. Ki sheyesh lo yisurim mehem hu noise osam alav. A person is carrying them on his shoulders. What does that mean? If I'm carrying all these difficult people on my shoulders, that means I'm not collapsing. I'm not collapsing from whatever they're throwing at me. Insults, unkind words, klalas, Rahman al-Islam.
Is there an expression, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger?
Yeah. Whatever doesn't kill you.
The Yisurim is actually a strength.
It's all an invitation. And as much as we want bracha and hatzlacha and good muscle and everything else, what we're learning here is that actually Yisurin, we're going to see in just a few moments, is an invitation to bring out from ourselves what's shining inside that can't be seen from the outside. But Yisurin will release it. So let's see that. But how is it possible for a human being who's just flesh and blood, lisa alav kol kach anashim, that he will be able to carry so many people, every single person who's screaming at him, calling him names, insulting him, telling him that he's no good and he's dysfunctional because he came from dysfunctional parents who came from dysfunctional parents. So how can you carry so much? Because through Yisurin, a person's physical body is actually subjugated. It's actually nichna. It's through the humiliation is humbled. Kikol ha-Yisurim nikraim soros. It's a very important line here because it's a key to all times throughout Rav Nachman's works. Wherever he says Yisurin, it's synonymous to tsaros. All types of suffering are really called tsaros. I really believe in English the word sorrow comes from tsaros. So al shem shehem mitzarim. Now, why are they called tsaros? It's a very important word. The two-letter root of tsaros is sar. Sar is a design. Litzaya means to design. A tzayir is a designer. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called Sur. Ein Sur Kelokenu, said Chana when she was davening for a child, and she had no children. Not only she had no children, she had no womb, so she couldn't have children. Not only that, she was way past child giving. She was 130 years old, and she's still praying for a child. Talk about Ein Shum Yush Ba'olam Klal. So she was a real Breslov Hasidah. So she said, Ein Sur Kelokenu. There's no one who is a rock as dependable as HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Gemara, and we've quoted it before in Brachas, I think it's Daf Yud, says, Al Tikreit Surah, don't read it Surah Elat Tzayir, which is usually translated either as a designer or a painter. Both are really the same thing. Don't read Surah Elat Tzayir. Ein Tzayir Kelokenu. There's no one who is great as a designer as Hashem. And see the Radak on that pasuk. I think it's in Perek Beis, pasuk Beis in Shmuel. It says, the Radak says there, she was talking about her womb. She knew she had no womb, but Ein Tzayir Kelokenu, you can redesign my womb. So I don't have to be miyayish because I have no womb or because of my old age. And she just kept begging and begging. I'm not asking for a huge chacham. I'm not asking for tippish. Give me someone somewhere in the middle. And she was misnadev this child to the Hekdesh to become a Kohen as Masharet for Eli the Kohen Gadol, Tzaddik Emes of that generation, and her tefillahs were answered. So the Tzur is a very important word because what we're going to see now is that sorrows are going to actually be a tool for carving out of ourselves what's really inside. Whenever you fashion a physical item, let's say you cut a piece of cake, so you're cutting it to a shape. you take pottery and it's made from clay. You shape the clay. So the chayma is being shaped by a tool that is mitzayah it. And if you were that pottery, that clay, I guarantee you it would be extremely uncomfortable for you to go through this. And if you were the dough that's being baked, it would be extremely uncomfortable as the isha is kneading the dough, and even more uncomfortable when you put it in the oven. But when you come out a real challah, and it's a beautiful shape, and it's a beautiful taste, and it's a beautiful texture, and it's a beautiful color, you realize, oh, what a beautiful siyur. So that siyur is because of the tsar that a person actually goes through. So comes along Rav Nachman and tells us, Kol ha-yisrim nikraim tsaras, al shem shehem mitzerim, because they are being suffered, umeikim, and pressed lahaguf, to the body. The body has to take a lot of pushing around. Ukeshenichtat haguf, when the body is crushed, from a lotion of actually grinding. When you grind the pepper, you grind it, and now comes out this incredible aroma. Well, that's only because of the grinding. So the grinding is what reveals what's inside. Al de'at saras al yadei zeh mi'ira minitgadla hanefesh. The soul shines greatly. Me'ira, I'm going to say actually as independently, the soul has so much of a shine that you and I can't see. But saras are an invitation for me to shine. How do I not shine? When I complain, when I blame, I accuse other people. It's all your fault, the way you raised me, the way my wife didn't show me the right encouragement. And before you know it, I've got this long list of people that are the problem for why I am not successful today. Either my marriage or my career or my ruchnis. It makes no difference what. It's the same principle every time. So when I'm makabel yisurim be'ahava, then I reveal the shining soul inside me, ki be'chachana ha'chayma, b'kana ha'chayma, by the subjugation of the physical matter, tigdal hatsura. The shape inside is now improved. Before it was a blob of dough, a blob of clay, and now look at what a beautiful tsura it has, and it's now put inside the oven, and it's this it comes out a beautiful piece of pottery. There's actually a kli that can be of extreme use, and you can even glaze it, and after you've painted it beautifully and put some 24 karat gold inscriptions on it, and before you know it, it's being sold in Christie's for millions of dollars, and it's all because of the chaymer was nichna. The chaymer was shaped into something that's actually useful and even beautiful. So now that chaymer is shining. As the Zohar says, and he quotes from Shlach, Parashat Shlach, Kuf Samach Ches, Deloi Salek Bei Nura, if you've got a log, a huge, like a trunk of a tree, Deloi Salek Bei Nura, where the fire just simply can't take to it, because it's just too big a piece of wood. What do? Mivat Shinlei, you splinter it. You break the log into small pieces. Now you can light the fire. It'll easily take to the fire. Gufa loy salik bei nehoira. So the correspond, that is a mashal. The nimshal is a body where it's not shining. Then the nishmasa, I don't remember now the words of the rest of the Zohar, but I wrote in my notes here. Sorry?
I think also like Mavachinle.
Yeah, Mavachinle. Thank you. So the soul, how does it come out to shine? You break the body, and now it's in pieces. And when a person's belev nishbar, but in a good way, not depressed, he's just, and Lev nishbar, as Rav Nachman will point out in Sichas Ran, I think Lamed Ches, that Lev nishbar is when a person feels far away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's not atzvos. Atzvos is a totally different definition. Lev nishbar, unfortunately, has the potential to become atzvos. That's why a person has to be very careful. And Rav Nachman, at the end of this Torah, talks about how the Kavdal Torah, why it's important that one puts aside time for Lev Nishba. I'm broken because I'm far away from you. I'm so far away from Midas Tovas. I'm so far away from who I really should be in this marriage with my kids. But not more than that time designated, and the rest of the entire day, b'simcha. No matter what. And when I'm pulled into zone 2, I say I'll deal with that in my Hisbodus session with my ultimate therapist, 1-800 Almighty. Well, I'll take care of it then. But right now it's 23 hours pure simcha and 1 hour not ba'atzvus, leiv nishbar. So this all comes from the hachna of the body, and now we're seeing even the neshama, it's shining because the body's broken. My mind is, I'm broken because of who I should be.
You mentioned that Lev Nishbar is like right next to the border of Atzvos.
Yes.
Right? So in theory, if a person is trying to dip into that Lev Nishbar and they're going over the line, so you almost say it's better not to do that then.
It's better not to do that. But Rav Nachman gives us a litmus test. He brings it in Simon Memhei in Sichas Haran. He says, how do you know if your hisbodedus is good? So if you come out at the end, B'simcha, it's a very good sign. So you had Lev Nishbar, but there's a tremendous, what you might call a relief, or even release, of having got this off my chest with the ultimate therapist, and knowing that you can, hakol yakol, there's nothing you can't do. And I'm really going to the source. So even if before my next session with my ultimate therapist things seem to be even worse than before, nevertheless, the real simon for me knowing that I haven't fallen into Atzvos is I actually come out b'simcha. If I'm not b'simcha, that's a very good indication that
I'm not ready for it.
I'm not ready for it. I've got to
Adjust your technique.
I've got to talk about. It's brought in Siach Safek Kodesh. I know there's a new edition. It's beautiful edition. I think it's 3 volumes. The old one is 8 volumes. So I still only remember really from the 8 volumes. So it's in the Chelik base. I think it's actually in Ois base. So Rav Nachman was quoted saying, when a person starts his bodhis with complaints about what's not going right in his life, which a person's just being real to himself, and that's part of his bodhis. I'm just being real to myself. I'm having a hard time, and I need you to help me because I can't do this alone. And it's really getting me down, and it can even come out as complaints. So Rav Nachman said, is there anything you want to say thank you to Hashem for? Meaning, start the hisbodhis. That's what it says there. Start the hisbodhis with thank yous, because at least I'm giving it a context. Because if I start straight away my therapeutical session with what's going wrong in my life, with my wife, with my kids, with my health, with my business, with my career, with my spiritual,
off in the wrong way.
so I'm going right into the black dot in the middle of all the white. So Hashem says, why are you starting there? First say thank you for some of the things that you have got, and then you can deal with this much better, having first created a context for life is good. I am still healthy, generally speaking. What a celebration to come out the bathroom. Huge! Oh, Mafli! Pella, ployim! It's a huge celebration. Even as things are coming out, simcha, all the garbage is coming out, all the toxicity from it. I don't want it sticking in my... I had surgery twice today. Before I came in this morning, I had surgery twice, toxicity in my body, and it came out, and I'm so grateful. I think I told you, I once had in my bladder, I had a cancerous, whatever it was. Baruch Hashem, it was benign once they took it out and told me, but it was blocking my ability to urinate. And every time I would go for number 1, it was extremely painful, and it only drops, little teapot came out, nothing. And I didn't realize it was because the first diagnosis was urine infection. Another diagnosis was just stress. But it ended up being, I'm sure it was from stress in the end, but it ended up being an actual growth that was hanging and blocking. I saw it on the screen because they go in with a camera. It's fascinating to watch. And you see this microscopic camera going through the insides of your body. It's really, really extraordinary. And then when it came to where the blockage was, you saw this thing hanging and keep closing the cap of where I need to go to the bathroom for number 1. So there was one night I actually recorded going to the bathroom for number 1 23 times. And each time I said Asher Yatsa and went back to sleep. So I was Mesiach Das. I knew I was going to wake up in the next 3, 4, 5 minutes, but I still said Asher Yatsa. I'm not sure if that's halachically allowed, but I was Mesiach Das from this every single time because I actually fell asleep. That's a big bracha to have to fall asleep straight away. But the point I'm bringing out is it's a huge simcha. And during that period, it was a very difficult period for me. I was traveling, and I had to wear a catheter. I think it's called. And I still insist on going to mikveh. And I realized it was not a good idea because I was causing people to. So, but I didn't want to miss out. So, with all my chumras and yeseiros, etc. But in the end, I ended up writing pshatim that I would never have come up with based on a sheyatza. It's such an extraordinary bracha. So maybe one day we'll get to it, but talk about Nekudas Tovas. This is the most frequent bracha you ever say. Mishnah Berurah paskins that tadir she'ein tadir koidem. There's a principle in halacha. So if you've got Asher Yatza in competition with a Shahakol or Bura Nefashot, which one should you say first? Asher Yatza, because that's the tadir. That's the most frequent. Always go with the most frequent. So it's the most frequent bracha we say, and we're being reminded, Kama Pamim, every single day, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves me. He loves me so much that there's no other bracha or liturgy anywhere that actually makes the statement, Galiv yadu alifnei chisei kevodecho. There's no liturgy in the Siddur which says, this is known and revealed before the throne of your glory. Whoa, really important information about to be revealed. What is it? Let me tell me. And then it goes into a little bit of detail about the lowest function of the body, expulsion of waste, fluid and otherwise. And I'm making a bracha every 40 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours. What is going on here? And the answer is, if your father or mother loves you so much and calls you up and says, Fishel, could you do me a favor? Kibbutz Av. Just every time you come out of the bathroom, could you just give me a quick call and tell me that everything's okay? Okay, Ta. So 40 minutes later, Ta, just let you know I came out of the bathroom, everything's come out good, it's all good. Whew, I'm so relieved to hear that, I'm really happy. Please keep me informed. An hour later, Ta, just want to let you know, we just came out of the bathroom. So after a few times, you're going to say to yourself, what's my father needing this for? What's his message? What's the father's message to his son or daughter? What's the message? I care about you, down to the lowest level of functions. And it's not even a conscious function. You don't need to consciously tell your body, I haven't gone in a while, please go, please, no, and there's nothing coming out. You don't need to do that. Your body will give you the experience, the sensation of needing to relieve yourself. That's a huge chesed. So comes along HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says, please, I want you to know that I have nachas every time you come out of the bathroom and say thank you. Now, if I have nachas when you do something that's involuntarily part of your physical functions, when you choose with your own bechira to think good, or say good, or act good, what do you think that is? Oh, that's exponential. So Asher Yatza is really a simple invitation for me to pay attention to how much Hashem loves my bechira when I make a good choice. And if I mess up a lot of times, don't worry, I'm going to be going to the bathroom soon anyway. And then I get another invitation to remind him that you love me for the functions of my body, how much more so when I do teshuvah. Help me do teshuvah on the last few hours of messing up. So it's all chesed. Rav Zeitman, you had something to share? No? So let's finish this off. We did this. Al ken nikra Sarah lashon surah. So tsara is a lashon of surah, of designing. Tsar, which is suffering, is a language of design. Ki al yadei hatzara nichna haguf. Through the tsar, the body is subjugated. Umi'ira hatzura. And what's inside now shines out. Nimsa. So it comes out. She'al yadei zeh sheyesh lo yisurim v'tzares. Because a person has suffering and difficulties, Me'ira hatzura, that is what's causing his nefesh to shine. Hainu ha-nefesh va-nefesh efshala la-seis aleh kama v'kama anoshim. The body can take so much, but your soul, that's unlimited what you can handle. V'zeh, and this is what David HaMelech said, Hashem ma rabu sarai, how many are my sufferings? And then the next words were, kamim, v'rabim kamim alai. What's it mean? Many people come upon me because of my ability to take the tsar. Now I'm going to shine out even more. Kol ma shenit rabim sarai rabim kamim alai. As much as people cause me tsar, ki al yadei zeh ani noiseh umekim umeirim rabim l'shasham. I'm able to carry them, sustain them, and elevate them, many of them, to their source. So I'm not going into that now, but that probably I don't know for sure. I didn't check it out. Is referring to when you have someone who's a real high tzaddik. So when he takes on even his enemies and is done hafschus on them, he can actually help them come to their tikkun. So Rav Nachman will talk about that in Rish Pei Beis when it's being done hafschus on a Russia and he's not even in the room. It could be on the other side of the world, and by being done hafschus on a Russia can actually help him to be counted as in the schus in Shemaim. It's a phenomenal thing. And we can do that with our children too. No matter how bad they seem to behave or be kaifa taiv, it's never too late to be moichel, believe shalem, and help them turn themselves around. So one of the benefits of Yisurin is that it's really an invitation for me to shine, the real me. How do I shine? Not complaining. How do I shine? Being grateful. How do I shine? Turn it into a tefillah. How do I shine? Please, Ben Shalom, I'm taking this as a compliment that you must be giving this to me because you know I can handle it. Why is Mike Tyson in the ring with people of the Madrega of Muhammad Ali, whatever? So because he's a heavyweight champion. Also, I'm not going to get in the ring with those. They have to go like this on me and they go flying. Oh, so the real champions are in the ring. That's a huge compliment. Oh, so this is a huge compliment that you're giving me this Yisurin. Help me not let go of Zone 3. Help me not let go. Likkutei Moharan, if it can trouble you to turn, I would have closed on this, but we'll have to finish next week. We'll look at Terachaf Beis, Ois Hey, which is similar to what we just learnt. And then I want to quote to you a Medrash Rabbah. I'll close on this. The Medrash Rabbah says, right at the beginning of Pasha Shmais, that the Jewish people are compared to the olive, because the olive produces olive oil.
That's the shtickle I was going to point to you.
Oh,
there.
please,
And
tell us.
Nelson says it's brilliant.
Please.
Chassus Lamar, you have to be crushed in order to shine. He brings that Zayar there too.
So the neshama, you have to crush it in order for it to shine. If you've got wood that the fire is not taking to, then you give it a few good smashes, kicks and punches. So a goof where the neshama is not really, its light is not shining, then you have to beat up the goof. And he quotes the same Shlach Daf Kuf Samach Ches over here. V'chein mevuah b'midrash b'Parsha Zois in Shmos Rabbah Lamed Vav Ois Aleph Shebishvil Maj Nimshel Yisrael Azayas. Oh my gosh, why are the Jewish people compared to a Zayas? Ela Ma Zayas Hazeh Achu Be'ilanoi, while it's still on the tree. Megargrin Oisai. You're megargrin, I'll tell you. You scrape the tree, meaning give it a knock and you bring it down. After you've given it a good shake and it falls off, now you crush it. Sorry. When you crush the olive, malin oisai legat. You now pick it up and you take it to the press. The olive press. You put it into a grinder. You put it in the press, and even after you put it on the press, you bring ropes and you force the millstones, these hard stones, force it down with even more pressure because you want to get every last drop out of this olive. Kach. And that's how Hashem is grinding us. But afterwards, He surrounds us with ropes, and brings rocks, really hard stones. These are crushing stones. And then gives the olive oil. That's how we are. We really have to endure many with a lot of effort, tremendous effort. How much effort we need till we actually get rid of the outside of us, the begodim that don't belong on us. And from there, that's where all our manias are coming from. And that's when the aura of the tzaddik will shine in us. B'bchinas katit lama'or. Crush it for the light. It's not being crushed because Hashem wants to crush us. Hashem loves us. He's crushing us to help us reveal what's inside. So when you crush a person, what comes out? Whatever's inside. So if I'm an angry person and I get crushed, it's not Hashem punishing me. It's for me to see me. It's for me to see what comes out when I'm crushed. And when it's anger, okay, so the anger's coming out, I got to work on it. And when you see me struggling with my anger, when I'm being crushed, so that's to reveal to me that I'm in the struggle. And when you see a person actually get insulted and hurt and cursed, and they answer with a smile in silence and say, thank you, Hashem. There's a big discount, right? Big. And so now he's megale the tzura inside. A person can be makabel yisurim me'ava. It's really possible. And if I don't do it the first time, the second time, the third time, I'm still angry, don't worry, Hashem will crush me again. Because he doesn't. Hashem makes no junk, and he'll give me another chance, and another chance, and another chance, until I get past the struggle and start shining. And that's why we're in this world for 120 years. Hashem will not give up on us. He won't give up on us. Hopefully we won't give up on us. As Hashem we'll see the Torah in the Chaf Beis next week.
Oh yeah.
Good for showing that. Amazing.
Yeah, it's a brilliant stick.
Yeah. So I'm going to put that right here because I didn't remember where it was.
Several places, but here he says about Kasas Lamai.
Right.
Crushes us, and that's when we can shine.
Where's the Likutei Halachos?
This shtickle is in Elchas B'tzias Hapas Hey Beis Kav Daled.
B'tzias Hapas
Hey Beis Kav Daled. He brings it in different forms. He brings it also by Leiska.
Perfect.
Yeah, but
so this is a big motivator for me to get more into Likutei Halachos. So I've got more to call upon because it's all there. It's all there.
Halachos is brilliant.
Any questions, comments, criticism?
Amazing. That's my comments.
Shkaya.
Shkaya.
Or amazing criticism.
No. Unbelievable.